Hi friends, welcome to ISN College Connect YouTube channel. In this videos, we are going to discuss about what is comparable and comparator. Before we are getting to this, what is comparable and comparator, you should know some knowledges on the array list. So I already posted some videos on what is array list, what are the CRUD operations, how to perform the CRUD operations on the array list. So before you are proceeding to this video, please watch those videos and come back. So now we are going to see what is comparable and comparator in details. So now the comparable and comparator both are interface. So here it is used to perform the default sorting. The comparable which is used to perform the default sorting. So it's used the method compare to is for performing this sorting operation. So then the next one we are going to see is the comparator. The comparator is nothing but customized sorting. So here it is used to it use the method compare method to perform this sorting operation. For example, what is the comparable and comparator? Let's see in details in the Amazon website. So here I'm just going to type some information. Suppose I want laptop. I want laptop price. Okay, so or else I'm just want laptop stand metals. So here, when I'm typing this information will be passed from the front end to this logical, front end to this logical, that is logical code which is written on the Java, and it is going to be searched the informations on the database. So once it's get the information, that information will be given to this logical, and logical is going to be display the informations on the front end. Here, whatever the data we are going to be get on the front end, it is based upon some sorting operations which the Amazon website is using. So they may post some of the information, some of the product on the first pages where they are going to get the maximum of product. So that is what we are getting on here. When I type simply laptop stand metals and I'm just clicking the search button, it is displaying some of the product on the first pages that should be followed by the further pages 1 2 3 up to 20. Okay, so it is called as a default sorting. That sorting is based upon some algorithm which is written by the Amazon website. They may use some algorithm for displaying the those product where they are going to get the maximum product profit. Okay, but we don't want this type of sorting operations. Here I want to be displayed those product will get the average customer review. So here I'm just clicking and we are having the five options, right? Low to high, high to low, average customer review, newest arrival and best seller. So these all are called comparator. Okay, so we are going to display the informations or sorting the information based upon our requirements. So this is what it is called as a comparator. Here you see I'm just going to be use another comparator, that is low to high. If I choose a low to high, I'm just going to be get the product which is having the lowest price first. So that should be followed by the highest price. So here we are going to have the another comparator high to low, so that I'm just going to be get the maximum product price product on the first pages. Here you see the maximum price is 1,17,000. Okay, so here we are going to get the highest product on the first pages. This is what the comparator is all about. Comparator means so customized one. Okay, comparable means what? Default sorting. Okay, so that is what comparable and comparator. Hope you understand what is comparable and comparator. Let's move to the implementation part. So what I'm going to do for that, I'm just going to create one packages which is called as a comparable and comparator. New. I'm just going to create the package name is comparable. Comparable. Okay. So and comparator. Done. Okay. So here I'm going to write the Pojo classes. So I'm going to create the Pojo classes. The Pojo class is what? Student. Pojo classes student. Here I'm just going to create another class which is called as a main class. From here only we are going to make a we are going to write all the sorting logics. Main class. Okay, done. So under this student class, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to uh, create some of the variables. So private, so int. So as I already told that, so we need to use a camel case. So register number. register number. Then I'm going to use string student name, then private string, and then department, student department. So then I'm going to create another variable which is address. So then college fees. So here I'm going to use double. Okay, so double college fees. Right. Okay. So now you see, I'm just going to create a constructor and getter and setter for all this particular variable. So deselect all, click the generate. And I'm going to create a constructor using field, and I'm going to create a getter and setter. So then once two string methods. Right. Now you see, I've just written this Pojo classes where we are going to store all the information. Where we are going to store all the information. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create one array list and I'm going to add all the information. Then I'm just going to print it. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create one array list. So which is going to hold all the student information, student, and then S1 equal to new array list, array list. So it's going to hold the student, right? The first thing what we are going to do, so we are going to import this packages first. Import array list. Okay, so then, sorry, done. Then we are going to import this. Okay, done. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write one method, public. Okay, so sorry, void public. So void method name is what? Add student. Add student. Okay. So here I'm going to be pass a list of students information that when I'm going to be pass the data to this particular method, it need to add those data into the array list. So for that, I'm just going to create student S1. It's a local variable. Okay. So argument. Okay. So here also we are having the S1. So that I'll do student instead of having like this, I'm just going to use student array list. Okay, so here I'm going to use that variable dot add method. So when I'm going to call this method, I'm going to be pass the object of students is going to be perform the adding operations. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write the public. So void. Okay, so here I'm just going to use just returning some values. Okay, so student, that is a list of students. It need to return list of students. So whatever the data this particular collection is having, it need to return. Get all data. Get all student data. Okay. So it's going to return the list of student. Okay. So then I'm just going to use return the student object. That is student array list. Done. Okay. So now you see in the main method, I'm just going to be pass the values and I'm going to be print this values. Okay. So now I'm just going to use the main method. Inside this main method, I'm just going to be create an object. So main class MC equal to new main class. Done. Okay. So now you see, so I want to pass the values to the add students, which is going to be accept the type as student. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to be create an constructor, for constructor with argument, and I'm going to pass all the object to this particular add students. Okay, so here I'm just going to be create an entity for this student class, this class. Which class? This particular class. Here you see we are having the constructor, right? For in this constructor, I'm going to pass all the values. So here I'm just going to pass some values. So here student stud1 equal to new then student. Here I'm just going to pass some values. So I'm just going to be pass 100. Okay, so then I'm just going to be pass the next argument. What we are passing is so name, student name. Okay, so here I'm just going to be pass the student name, which is Vinod Kumar Selva. Okay, so then I'm just going to be pass the another values, which is what department. The department is nothing but it is CSC. So now you're going to be pass. The next one is department. After that address. Okay, so here is the next one is what? After the department, we are passing the address. Okay, so here the next one is address. Okay, so the next one is what? Double. Okay, so next one is what? Double data type, which is college fees. The college fees I'm just going to be passes 45,000.00. Okay, likewise, I'm going to be pass four different students details. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I'm going to be change the object student 1 to student 2 and student 2 to student 3 and then student 3 to student 4. Here 101 and then 10. So I'll just pass instead of 101. Here I'll just pass 106. Okay, so not on the same order. I'm going to be pass 103, or sorry, so between 1 and 4. Okay, so 3, right? Okay, so here I'm going to pass 102. Okay, so here is we having the register number which is not in the right order. Okay, so here I'm going to use the name. So here I'm going to be pass another student's details. Roshan, another student's details is what? Niranjan. Okay, so here for Ashok I'm just going to use Mick. So here AI ML. Here the name is MLDS. Okay, so here I'm just going to change the name address to Chennai. Here Chennai and then Chennai. So fees I'm just going to change to 25,000, 1,45,000, 1,60,000 or 65,000. That's it. We pass all the data. Okay, so now to the constructor, now we need to pass all the data into the or add those data into the array list. So I'm just going to use array list object dot add. So inside this, I'm just going to be pass stud1. Likewise, I'm just going to be pass all the data. So here why it is throwing error means, so we need to use add method. So inside this add method only we need to pass this value. Actually, I wrongly called this. Okay, so we need to access this add students. So mc dot add. Inside this, I'm just going to be pass student1. Okay, so that is S1. Okay, likewise, I'm going to be add all the information. Okay, so M1, sorry, student 1, student 2, and then student 3, and then student 4. Now we are going to display those information. Whatever information we are having on this list, we are going to display it. Okay, so here you see sys out. I'm just going to be print the get all data, get all students data. Okay, so here this method need to be accessed by using the object. So mc dot get all data. So what this particular method is going to do, this method is going to call this particular method, and this method is going to be return the data whatever it's having on this array list. Now you see, I'm just going to be print this information. It's going to be print the same order. In which order we insert, it is going to be display the informations on the same order. So now I'm going to run this application. Here is the, we are getting the register number as 106 as a first, and then that should be followed by we having another data. Okay, so that is 101, and then we're having another data which is 103. Okay, so I'm just increasing the font of this particular console window. So debug console edit, here I'm just changed to 14 so that you can able to see the screen clearly, output screen. Okay, I'm just going to run it once again. Okay, so here is the data what we are getting on the first is 106, and then 101, and then 103, and then 102. But we don't want this order. We want some sorting operations to be performed based upon the register number. For that, we are going to see the two types of sorting. The first one is we are going to see the comparable. Okay, so comparable means what? Default sorting. Okay, so here I'm just going to use this comparable now. Okay, so in this entity classes, what you need to do, you need to use the keyword implements. So why? Because the comparable and comparator both are interface. Okay, so comparable. Okay, so here inside this, I'm just going to pass the object of the student, right? Once we done this, so here we are going to implement the comparable. Comparable means what? Default sorting. Okay, so it's having the method, right? Okay, so we need to implement that method. Okay, so in the bottom, you'll be find this compare to method. The for comparable, we're having the compare to method. Here we are going to perform the sorting operation. Now I'm just going to write the logics if based upon the register number. The sorting operations need to be performed based upon the register number. For that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the logics on here. So here, I'm going to check the condition. If the data, okay, so current object is equal to this object which we are receiving, if both are equal, we are going to return 0. Okay, so now you see, I'm just going to use if register number is double equal to o dot register number. Okay, so if both are same, so then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to return 0. Okay, so inside this, I'm just going to write the return 0. Okay, so here I'm just going to remove it. Okay, so else if the register number which is called by these keywords, okay, so referring that these keywords and the object which we are passing, if the current object is greater than, then we are going to return 1. Okay, so the register number which is the current object is greater than o dot okay, so register number, if this is going to be greater than, okay, so then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to return 1, or else, so what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to return -1. Okay, so if this the object which we are receiving is greater than to the current object, then we are going to return -1. Okay, so return -1. Done. Okay, so here you see we perform this sorting operation. That is a default sorting, but we need to call it externally, right? Okay, so for that, I'm going to write one method. So here I'm going to write collections dot sort, collections dot sort. Okay, so inside this, we need to pass the array list object. Okay, so inside this, we are going to pass the array list object. You can call it like this, you can call it like this, or else we can call it in the above in one particular method. Okay, so public so void sort data, sort, that is a default sorting, default sort. So inside this you can use this method. Okay, so which method? Collections dot sort. Inside this, you can call collections dot sort. Inside this, we can pass the array list name. Okay, so both methods are same. Okay, so why? Because here you see, when we are going to call like this, collection dot sort mc dot get all data. So what this get all data is returning? It is returning student array. Student array is what? It is a type of array list. Okay, so same as here, we are going to write one particular method. Inside this particular method, we are going to call the collections dot sort. Then we are going to call the then we are going to pass the array list object. Both methods are performing the same operation. Okay, so here you can proceed like this, or else you can proceed like the above one. Okay, but if you are going to create it like this, so it is present on one particular method, you need to call this method for performing the sorting operation. Okay, so what is the object? It is mc dot default sorting. Mc dot default sorting. Once we call this particular method, all the data, so whatever we are having on here is going to be get sorted based upon the register number. Okay, so now the data is get sorted after we are going to call this method. So once we call this method is going to be get call. So inside this, we are going to perform in this sorting. So after that, we need to print the data, right? Okay, so here you see, we are going to call this method inside the system.out.println, so that it is going to be written the list of students. So same as I'm just going to be use this previous method, and I'm just going to be call this. So before I'm just going to call this, I'm just going to print this statement on this output screen. Okay, so sorting based on comparable, that is default sorting. Okay, so I'm just going to include this also inside this system.out.println. I'm going to run this program. Now you see, we are getting this data based upon sorting based upon the register number. First, you see, we are getting the 101, and then we are going to get the another data which is 102. Another one is what? 103. Another one is what? 106. 106. Now you see, we performing the sorting operations based upon the registration number, so through comparable. Now, the next one we are going to see is comparator. So, what is a comparator? Comparator is nothing but customized sorting. So, how to write the comparator? Okay, so you can write the comparator in different way. Okay, so in this program, we are going to see one of this is the class. Okay, so you can create a comparator. You can create the comparator. You can create the comparator in different way. So in this, we are going to see the comparator, that is customized sorting, right? Okay, so customized sorting. Okay, so we are going to create a comparator by using the separate class for the comparator, and then we are going to have the method references, and then we are going to use anonymous class. Okay, so class. Through anonymous class, we can able to perform this sorting operations also. And we are going to have both the comparable comparator in same class, both comparable and comparator in the same class. First, we are going to see how to implement this comparator through class. So now I'm just going to create one more class. The class name which I'm going to create is name comparator. So I'm just going to perform the sorting operations based upon the name. Okay, comparator. Okay, so here this class is going to implement the method, implement the comparator in phase, which is called as comparator, which is called as comparator. Once we done this, so it asks us to implement the unimplement method, which is there in this particular comparator. So what is the method name is? It is compare. Okay, so first we need to mention this Pojo class name. That is Pojo class name is what? Student. Okay, so it's going to ask us to implement the unimplement method. So here you see we're having the compare method which comes under the comparator. Inside this, I'm just going to write the logics by using compare to method. So here I'm just going to use O dot O1 dot, okay, so name, right? Okay, so here I'm just going to get the name. Okay, so get student name if it is compare with dot compare to. Okay, so inside this O2 dot get student name. Now you see, if it is equal, same as the previous one, if it is equal, it is going to be return 0. If the values is going to be greater than, it is going to be return 1. Likewise, it is going to return minus 1. Okay, so here we are performing the sorting operations based upon the name. That's it. We finish the name comparator. Okay, so now how to make a call to this name comparator? Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create one particular logic. Instead of writing method on here, we can able to call it directly, or else we are going to create one particular method and we can able to do it. Okay, so collection public, so public, so which is going to be void, and then I'm just going to use a name comparator caller, name comparator method. Okay, so you can give any name. Okay, so that is not mandatory that you need to give the name comparator method. Okay, you can give any name. Okay, same as the previous one, we use the collections dot sort method, right? Okay, so collections dot sort. Inside this, we need to pass the array list name. Which data you are going to be passed? Okay, so you need to pass the collections name, array list name. That is array list. What is array list name? It is a student array list. Then that should be followed by, you need to put comma and then new, and then here you are going to call the comparator. What is a comparator? It is a name comparator. It is what is a comparator? It is a name comparator. Just to call this comparator name on here. Okay, so here you're going to create, you're going to call the name comparator. That's it. Okay, so whatever the data we're having on here, it is get sorted. That is based upon the logics which is written over here. Okay, so here we are going to, now we perform this comparator. Now we need to display the information. Now we need to call this particular method for performing this operations. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write the same logics. Okay, so here I'm just going to use this informations. We need to give this information to the user, right? Sorting based upon comparator, based upon name comparator. Okay, so once we are displaying this information, okay, so then we need to call the particular method. Okay, so which method it's going to be called, so that the comparator, name comparator is going to be get called. So when you're going to call this name comparator, the logics which we written inside this to perform the names sorting based upon the name comparator. Okay, so here I'm just going to simply call this particular method. What is the name? Name comparator method. Okay, so here I'm going to call this particular method cmc dot name comparator method. That's it. So once we call this method, all the data is now sorted based upon the name. Okay, so now we are going to display those information. Okay, so simply if you are going to call this object, it is going to be print those information. Okay, so here I'm just going to call this particular method same as what we did on here. Okay, so here I'm going to call like this. Okay, so now you see, I'm just going to run this program. Okay, now you see, we are getting name based upon sorting based upon name comparator. Now you see, we are getting the student name Ashok Kumar as a first, and then that should be followed by Niranjan. Okay, MNOPQR. Next one is what? Roshan. Okay, yes. Then last RSTUV. That is followed by Vinod Kumar. Okay, so here you can display the information like this, or else you can write it like for loop. Okay, so in the enhanced for loop, you can use the type, you can mention the entity name. What is the entity name here? We are having student, right? Okay, so student, and then we can pass the values. Okay, so stud. Okay, so here colon, and then I'm just going to call the method. Okay, so which method is returning the data? Student, get all students, right? Okay, so I'm just pausing, which is holding the entire data, that is get all students. So if I'm going to call get all students data, it is going to be print, it is going to be return the values which is present on the student array list. Okay, so that I'm simply calling this method on here. Okay, so here I'm going to put mc dot. Okay, so here inside this I'm just going to print the information. Okay, so here I'm going to print the information. Okay, we can call on here. Okay, we can call like MC is not required because we are inside this method student, and then we are going to print the information. Stud. Okay, done. Okay, so now we are going to call this particular method is going to be perform the sorting operation. Now the data, all the data we are having the array list is get sorted. Okay, so that we are going to call this get all students data. It's going to be return the values each time. It's going to be pass one particular student's data and it is going to be printed on here. So we are facing the difficult to see the result, right? So that I'm going to write return like this. Now you see, we are getting all the data sorted based upon name comparator. Okay, so in case if you want to write any other comparator, so one more comparator if you are going to write means that is a name sorting based upon the fees, college fees. Okay, so now I'm just going to write name comparator. Instead of name comparator, I'm going to write one more comparator, that is course fees comparator. So comparator. Okay, so which is going to be implements. Okay, so implements comparator. Sorry, comparator. Okay, so here inside this, I'm just going to be pass student title. Okay, so now it asks us to implement the unimplement method. Okay, so here you see we are going to be pass two methods, two objects. Okay, O1 and O2. Okay, so for that, how we are going to write this? Okay, so the same thing if O1 O1 dot so college fees. Okay, so get college fees is equal to, okay, so equal to O2 dot get college fees. If both are same, I'm just going to be return 0, return 0, or else, okay, so if not, else if, so else if O1 dot get college fees, which is going to be greater than O2 dot get, sorry, O2 is zero, not 0 to O2 dot get college fees. Okay, get college fees. So if this values is greater than to this, and I'm going to return 1, 1. Okay, or else I'm just going to be return -1, return -1. That's it. Okay, so here we done. Why it is throwing error message? Okay, so actually we changed the name, right? So it need to be, it's not replicated on here. So I'm just going to click this, rename the file as per this. Okay, so now you see, we return this logic for performing this sorting operation based upon the college fees. Now we need to write this logics. Now we need to make a call to this particular logics. Okay, so now we are going to make a call to this particular logics. Okay, so here, um, I just want to make a call to this particular logics, so that same as I'm just going to write the method. Okay, so public, so while fees comparator. Okay, so inside this, I'm just going to call collections dot sort. Collections.sort. Inside this, I'm just going to be pass the data, entire data of the array list. The array list, the student array list, which is holding the entire data. Now I need to make a call to this comparator, that is course fees comparator. Okay, so here new, and then I'm just going to be called the class name. Okay, no course fees comparator. Okay, so that's it. We perform the sorting operations. Okay, so now all the data, whatever the data here we're having on the student array list is going to be sort based upon the college fees. Now I want to print those information, so that I'm just going to use the for loop. Okay, so for inside this, just I'm going to paste the information. Okay, so paste this code for enhanced for loop. So as I already told that get all students is holding the entire data. So each time it's going to be passed one particular students on here, then it is going to be printed. Now we need to display those informations on the console screen, so that we are going to call this fees constructor, fees comparator on the main method. Okay, so here I'm just going to call sysout. Okay, so inside this I'm just going to be write this coding sorting based on based on fees comparator, fees comparator. Okay, now I'm going to call this particular method. Okay, so method name is what? MC dot method name is fees comparator. Okay, now I'm just going to be display some information. Okay, so I'm just going to put slash n in front of each of this line. Why? Because we'll get some space between each of this output. Okay, run this code. Okay, so now you see we get the sorting operation based upon the fees, right? Okay, so here you see 25, 45, 1 lakh 45, 1 lakh 65,000. In case if you want to perform the reverse order, you can put this symbol oppositely. Okay, so let's check whether we are getting this output or not. So I'm just putting it opposite. Sorry. Okay, so here I'm just going to run this. So we need to get this 1 lakh 60,000 on the top and 1,45,000 on the second top and 45,000 on the third and 25,000 on the bottom. Okay, so here it is nothing but we are just going to put the symbol opposite, so that we are going to get this data in the reverse order. Okay, so now we are going to see the next method. Okay, so as of now we discuss this through the class. Next one we are going to discuss is through the method reference, how to write the logic for the method reference. So now we are going to see the next one, that is simple. It's very simple logics. For that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write one particular method which is going to be perform all these operations. The next one we are going to discuss is method references. So previously we created the comparator by using the class, okay, and then comparable also by using the class. Now we are going to write the comparator by using the method references. So for that, I'm just going to do the little changes on the method signature. So I'm just going to create a method which is going to be what? The public access specifier. Okay, so here I'm going to use a static data type. Okay, why? Because I'm just going to call this particular methods on the main method without using the object. Okay, so the static. Okay, so here the type is what? Array list. Okay, so array list. The return type is what? Array list. Okay, so here the type which is going to be hold is, it is going to be hold the Ojo classes, which is student. Okay, so here I'm just going to be pass the student. Here I'm going to be mention the method signature. Okay, so here what are the other data we are having? So we perform the sorting operation address. So still we are not written for the address, right? Okay, so I'm just going to write it for the address. Okay, so sort data by using address. Okay, so here it is going to accept the values which is going to be typed as array list. Array list. Okay, so here array list, and then I'm just going to be mention the type for this is going to be what? Student. Student. Okay, so it's important. Okay, so here we need to mention the values for this, the argument. Okay, so argument name is what? S1. So here inside this, I'm just going to create one more array list to store the information which I receive as an argument. Okay, so array list, and then here I'm going to be pass the student. Okay, so then I'm just going to create an object of this. Okay, so sort data. Okay, so here I'm just going to use equal to. So normally how we are going to create array list? Okay, so new array list. Okay, so inside this, we need to pass the data. What we are having on here, we need to pass it. So what I'm going to do inside this bracket, I'm just going to put S1. Okay, done. Okay, so now you see, once we done this, it asks us to implement the return statement. So for that, first we are going to perform the sorting operation. Here, the entire data, what we are receiving as an argument that we are going to be pass it. Now sort data is holding the data, right? So I'm just going to use the sort data on here, and then that should be followed by dot. Then I'm just going to be use the method called sort method. Okay, so inside this, I'm going to write the logic. That is comparator. Okay, comparator. So okay, sort. Inside this, I'm just going to write comparator. Here, I'm going to use the method which is called as the comparing. Okay, so here it is a address, right? Okay, so here in case the address is what string data type. Okay, so for string you can use the comparing. In case if it is a integer, you can use a comparing it. Okay, so in case if it is a double, you can use a comparing double. Okay, so but here you see it is what string. Okay, so what object we are going to perform the sorting operations? Address. Address is string, so that we are going to use a comparing. Is the next one is very simple. Okay, so here you need to mention the Pojo class, and then inside this Pojo classes, which method is going to be hold the address, get address, right? Okay, just that's it. We done. Okay, so finally we are going to hold all the data, whatever the data we are having on here in the or the data which we are passing to this. So we are going to be get sorted. Okay, so now the entire data is to hold by the sort data, so that we need to write the return statement, return, and then sort data. Okay, that's it. We done it. Okay, so we done the comparator for for performing the sorting operation based upon the address by using the method references. Now you see we are going to make a call to this particular method. As you know, this method is a static and the data is going to be written is what? Array list. So that we are going to call this method from the main classes. So here in the main classes, we are going to um, pass this particular argument, how to pass the argument to this particular method. Okay, so for that I'm just going to use this same system.out.println sysout. Okay, so here sorting data. So in front of this I'm just going to put slash n sorting data by using comparator through method reference. Okay, so now you see I'm just going to change the way of calling. Okay, so I'm just going to use the enhanced for loop on here. Okay, so and then I'm just going to call this particular method. Okay, so here enhanced for loop. Okay, so here the data which we are going to hold is student, right? Okay, so then I'm just going to use a student. Okay, so here what data we are going to what method is going to be return the values? This particular method is going to be return the values. So here we are going to call this particular method, and this method is going to be what? Static block. Okay, for the changes I'm using different way of calling this particular method. Previously we used by using the object name. Here we are going to use by using the directly method name. Why? Because it is a static block. Okay, so here I'm going to call this particular method. I'm going to call the particular method, and inside this I'm just going to pass the data, right? What type of data I need to pass this particular method? It is array list, right? Okay, so here we are going to pass the array list. Okay, so inside this I'm just going to pass the values. Okay, so here I'm going to use new, the type which is going to be what? Array list. Okay, so here and then I'm just going to mention the array list name. Here I can use that MC dot get all students. Okay, so this is going to return the values, right? Okay, so MC dot get all students is going to be return the entire data. Okay, so here is the MC dot get all students. What is the MC dot all get all students? Is returning the entire data what the array list is holding. Okay, so it's going to be return the entire data what the array list is holding. So this as an argument is taken and it's moved to the sort data by using address method. So this address method is going to be get call. Okay, so here we are going to perform the sorting operations based upon the address. Then we are going to print those informations on here. It's very simple. Okay, so here I'm just going to be print the yes. Okay, so when we are going to call the s, it is going to be called the two string methods what we are having on here. That's why it's printing this values. Okay, so now you see I'm just going to run this program. Now you see we are getting this output, sorting data by using comparator, using method references. Okay, so what type of sorting we done is address, right? Okay, so here is the, we are getting all the students details. Those are from Chennai first, that should be followed by the Karur. Okay, so we are performing the sorting operations based upon the method comparator in the method references. Let's see how to write the method comparator for the rest of two type of data. One is int, another one is double, right? Okay, same thing. I'm just going to write the public. So static. So then return type is what? Array list. Here the type of data which the array list is going to hold is student. The data which is array list is holding is student. Okay, so then I'm just going to have the method. I'm just going to create the method sorted sort data by using sort data by using uh, fees, college fees. Okay, so inside this I'm just going to be mention the array list. So I'm just going to be use the entity which I'm going to use is student. Okay, you can just use the same method. Okay, student. Okay, so here I'm just going to use s2. Okay, that's it. Okay, you can also give the same name. It doesn't matter because it is a local reference only, right? Okay, now we are going to create one array list inside. Okay, so which is going to hold the student and then sort data. So you can give any name by fees equal to new array list. Inside this, I'm just going to pass the entire data, what the array list is holding, right? It is S2 is holding, right? So I want to pass the entire data. So we can mention the capacities over here, or else we can mention the data. So which data we want to insert, those data we can mention. Okay, so I'm just going to be mention the data over here, S2, right? Inside this, I'm just going to mention S2. Now we are going to write the sorting operation, okay, by using the method references. So now this variable is holding the entire data. So we are going to call this particular, we are going to use this particular method sort data. Then I'm just going to perform the sorting operation dot sort. Okay, so inside this I'm just going to use the comparator. Okay, so comparator. Okay, now you see the fees is which data type. Here you see the fees is which data type. The fees is what? Double. Okay, so here I'm just going to use the double. Okay, comparator dot comparing double. Okay, so here you see we are having the method double, right? Comparing double. Just I'm pausing it. Inside this we need to mention the pojo classes student, and then inside the student which method is holding the fees, that is get college fees, right? Or get college fees. That's it. We perform the sorting operation. Now this sort data is holding the entire data. Okay, now we need to return it. Return. Okay, so then we are going to be call, so this sort data is returning having all the data, right? So I'm just going to copy this variable name and I'm pasting over here. That's it. So we performing the sorting operation based upon two data type. One is string, another one is what? Double. Now we need to make a call to this particular method. Okay, so I'm just going to use the same methodologies. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. So here we are not mentioning sorting data, address data. Okay, so I just put in front of address data. Okay, so just I'm going to copy this. So now I'm just going to paste it over here. Okay, so here we are performing the sorting operation based upon what? Fees. Okay, so by using the method references. Okay, same. I'm just going to use the for loop. I don't want to copy paste. I'll type it. Okay, so here enhanced for loop. Here I'm just going to use student is a Pojo classes which is holding the data, and this particular method also returning type is what? Returning type is what? This sort by using fees is going to be return type is student. Okay, so I'm just going to use a student. Okay, so yes colon Okay, so the method name is what? Sort by fees. Sort by using fees. Sorry, sort by using. So method name is sort by using fees. So here I'm going to pass the values. Okay, so new array list. Okay, so new array list. Okay, so here we are going to pass the MC dot get all students. Okay, so get all students is returning the entire data. Okay, so that's it. Okay, now sorry. So now we need to print it, right? Okay, so inside this sys out, I'm just going to use yes. That's it. Okay, so here I'm going to run this code. Now you see we performing the sorting operations based upon the using method references on the fees data. Okay, so here is it. We are getting all this information like this. Now the next one we are going to see is, so we are going to see the sorting operation based upon int. Okay, so int is it's the same. Okay, so there is a no changes on this. I'm just going to copy and paste it over here. Okay, so here sorry, in the above. Okay, in the above I'm just going to copy the same methodologies and I'm going to paste it over here. So I'm just going to be perform the sorting operation based upon register number, right? Okay, so register number. Okay, so here I'm just going to change instead of register number which data type, it is int, right? So instead of this I'm just going to use comparing the comparing int. Okay, so here I'm just going to pass the method name which is holding the integer register number. Okay, get register number. That's it. We perform the sorting operations on the register number through the method references. So I'm just going to call this particular method. So I don't want to type it in once again. I'm just going to copy and paste here. I'm just going to mention the number register number. Okay, so here I'm just going to change the method name. Okay, so here instead of this sort data by using fees, so what method we are using on here is sort data by using register number. Okay, so now I'm going to call this particular method sort data by using register number. Okay, done. So we are going to run this. So as of now we discuss about string, int and double also. Okay, so here you see we are performing the sorting operation based upon the register number. In case you want to perform the sorting operations on the reverse order, it's nothing, it's very simple. You're just going to call this reverse operation. That is reversed. Okay, so you're going to get all the data in the reverse order. Okay, so we are going to see this now. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this code and paste it over here. Okay, so here sort the data by using the register number in descending order. Descending order. Okay, simple. We are going to put dot reversed. Okay, so it's not only applicable for this integer data type. So here also you're having the name, right? Okay, so here you can, for name also, you can use this same method. Okay, so here you can put dot reversed. That's it. All the data is going to be print in the reverse order. Okay, so now we are going to be print these informations in the descending order. Okay, so here I'm just going to use system.out.println. Here I'm going to call this method sort by data in descending order. That's it. So here sorting the register number data by using the uh, comparator through method references in descending order. That's it. So I'm just going to run this code. Here you see we are getting the register number in reverse order 106, 103 and 102. Okay, descending order. Okay, so as of now we finish the next methodologies which is called as a method references. This one also we done. Then we are going to move to the next method. Okay, so here the next method which we are going to see is anonymous class. Okay, so how to write the anonymous comparator. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create one particular method. Inside this particular method, I'm just going to write this anonymous method. Okay, so here, or else I can just create one variable. Okay, so here it's important. Okay, so that is anonymous class, anonymous class, anonymous comparator. Okay. Okay, so how to write the anonymous comparator? Okay, simple. We are going to create one variable. Okay, so this is going to be type of comparator. Inside this, we are going to write the logics. Okay, the for that first, I'm just going to create one access specifier. Sorry, public. Okay, so static. Okay, so then I'm just going to write the comparator. The return type is what? Comparator. Okay, so here I'm going to mention the comparator name. Okay, so here we are going to move to the another data. Okay, so address is done, register number, college fees, student's name, department. Okay, so we'll move to the department. Okay, so in the main class, I'm just going to write the method variable name, which is going to be what? Department anonymous class, department anonymous anonymous comparator. Okay, done. Okay, so here I'm just going to create the new comparator, new, and then I'm just going to be mention the comparator. So which is going to be hold the type of student. Okay, so here I'm just going to be inside this particular method. I'm going to write the what is the method which is used on the comparator. The method which is used in the comparator is compare, right? Okay, so here you see that's it. The logic is written. Okay, so here you see what is based upon the department only, right? Okay, so it's very simple. Okay, so how we are going to write this report for sorting the performing the sorting operation based upon department? It's very simple, right? Okay, return o1 dot um, department. Okay, so department dot compare to. Okay, so here o2 dot get department. That's it. We done. That's it, we done. Okay, so here, in case if we want to perform the sorting operation, ignoring case sensitive means, okay, so you can have the one more method which is called as equal ignore case. Okay, so that is, compared to ignore case. Okay, so this method if you use means, okay, so you'll be going to have the case sensitive issue is going to be resolved. Okay, so here I'm just going to use a compare. Okay, done. Okay, so now you see the next one we are going to discuss the anonymous class also done. The next one is we are going to perform the comparable and comparator on both class in the same class. Okay, so here you see we are written this class which hold the comparable interface. Now you see I'm going to write one more thing that is comparator in this. Okay, so it is one another way. Okay, so comparator. Okay, so inside this, I'm just going to be pass the student. Okay, so here once we done this, as you know, this one class can have multiple interface. Okay, so it is used to implement the multiple interface, multiple inheritance concepts. Okay, so here you see, I'm just going to implement this comparator. Okay, so then it is going to ask us to implement the unimplement method. Okay, so here you see the student or class is throwing an error because it asks us to implement the unimplement method. In bottom, if you go means you can find this. Okay, so here we are going to perform the sorting operation based upon the name. Okay, so how to write the sorting operation for the name? It's very simple, right? Just now we written for the department. It's very simple. O1 dot. Okay, so get uh, student name dot compare to. Okay, so then we are going to uh, use the another one o2 dot get student name. Okay, so we done. Now the only issue is, so how to make a call to this particular method? Okay, so here you see we are going to make a call to this particular methods on the main class. So here I'm just going to write one particular method which is going to be return the list of values. Okay, so that is public. Okay, so here I'm just going to use the void statement, or else I'm just going to use return statement is what? List of students. Okay, so here I'm going to use the return statement is what? List of student. Student, done. Okay, so now this method is going to be return list of students. Now our only issue is how to make a call to this comparator, so which is written over here, but here you see we are not mentioning any name for this calling particular thing. Okay, so how to make a call to this particular method? Okay, so I'm going to write the code for this now. Okay, so here you see, I'm just going to write a method get sorted by name. Okay, so here inside this, I'm just going to create one array list which is going to hold the entire data. Okay, so list of student. Okay, so stud student equal to, then I'm just going to create new array list which is going to be hold array list which is going to hold the entire data. Okay, so as I already told that to pass the values, we are going to pass inside this parenthesis. Okay, so here you see we are going to have the method called get all students. What this get all students is going to do? It is going to be written the entire data. This is going to be written the entire data, what it is having over here. Okay, so now I'm just going to make a call to this particular method. Now it is going to be written the whatever the data which is having on the array list to this stud. Okay, so now I'm just going to perform the sorting operations. Okay, so here I'm just going to call this create an object. Okay, so create an object stud student. Okay, so 1 equal to, I'm going to call new student student. Okay, so now I'm just going to pass this object to the sort. Okay, so to the sorting. Okay, so here I'm just going to use stud dot short. Okay, so here have you noted one thing? Okay, while I'm typing this sort, okay, this sort method is going to be use the comparator as an argument. Okay, so here if you're going to use this student object, if you're going to pass the student one, okay, student one, the entire data. Okay, so whatever the data it's having, so it's going to be perform the sorting operations, which is the logic which we written on the comparator. Okay, so now you see this stud is going to be get started based upon the logic which is written on the comparator on the student Pojo classes. Okay, so this particular logic is going to be get called. You may have the doubt that how it is going to be called this. So have initially I mentioned this pop-up menu, you'll be find this sort method is going to be accept which as argument, it is going to be accept the comparator. Okay, so when you are going to call this sort and then you are going to pass the data, first it is going to be check whether this class is having the comparator or not. If the class is having the comparator, then what it is going to do, it is going to be called the comparator method. Okay, so now all the data is get sorted. Okay, so this is used to hold all the data, entire data. I'm going to explain once again, you may get little bit confusion on this. Okay, so here this list stud is holding the entire data. So what type of data it is going to be hold? It is going to be hold the entire data, what it is going to be written by get all student data. Okay, so what type of data which the get all student is going to be written? Get all student is going to be written the entire data which is having on the array list. Okay, so now you see, now we are moving to this, then the stud is holding the entire data. So from here we are going to create one Pojo classes student std1 equal to new student. So now we are going to pass the student object. Okay, so then it is going to be check is that any comparator is written inside this student class or not. Okay, what is that comparator is written inside the student class? Yes, right. Okay, so that when you are going to perform stud, that is entire data we are passing dot short, it is going to be called the comparator logics, which is written inside the students packages. Okay, student entity. Okay, so now you see we having this logics which is written as sorting operation performed based upon the student name. Now all the data is get sorted and it is stored on the stud. Okay, now we are going to return the stud. Okay, now stud is going to be hold the entire data. Okay, so now I'm just going to print those informations on here. Okay, so here in the sysout. Okay, so I'm just going to call this particular method. What is the method name? Get sorted by name. Okay, so here we are going to call this particular method by using the object. Okay, so MC is the object, right? Okay, done. Okay, so in the above, I'm just going to be print the information sysout. Okay, so that is inside this sysout. Okay, so in this double quotes, I'm just going to be mention comparable and comparator on the same entity class. Okay, sorting slash. Okay, done. So I'm just going to be run this code now. Okay, so now you see we are getting the sorting operation based upon name, right? Okay, so first you see we are getting the Ashok, and then that should be followed by Niranjan. Okay, so that should be followed by Roshan, and then that should be followed by Vinod Kumar. So hopefully you'll understand this logics of the comparable and comparator by using all the four logics. Okay, what are the logics? Class, and then method references, anonymous class, and both the comparable and comparator implement on the same class. On the same class. Okay. So thank you. If you like this video, please share this video with your friends. Please don't forget to click the subscribe and bell button. Thank you.